Hello everyone, welcome back, Severus is here. Come back at the new part of what if Deku was a Ghostfreak. And well, let's just get right into it, shall we? As after Midoriya's little time with good old Mr. Aizawa, in the end he returned back home. And once he returned back home, he got some bad news. Tenya Ida was killed by the hands of the hero killer himself, Stain. And those were some shocking news. Though Midoriya was sad, for some reason he didn't feel that sad. Perhaps it was the fact that he wasn't that close to Ida, or maybe the fact that he just never knew him well enough to care, but just feels wrong to him. He should be sad. A classmate of his just died, yet a part of him is missing. He can't seem to feel that much. And as all of Class 1A was standing in front of Ida's grave, going to his funeral, and in the end, eventually with that day off, and the next day they returned to school like nothing ever happened. And Midoriya is not in the cafeteria after what happened last time in the cafeteria, and the alarm system going off, and people basically saying that he attacked one of the students, while the reality was that he wasn't the person to throw the first punch. But the rumors spread like wildfire, and just like wildfire, it doesn't start on its own most of the time, and he was the one that was blamed for it. With that being said, he's eating his lunch on the top of the rooftop of UA, sitting there before somebody enters through the door. After him being, of course, Tokiyami, and Midoriya is seeing him, and immediately Tokiyami sits beside of him saying, "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in the cafeteria?" As Midoriya said, I think it will be better to just eat alone. People are giving me a lot of weird looks whenever I sit in the cafeteria. So, I just don't want to bother with it all." As Tokiyami said, "I understand. Sometimes people do not see you for who you are and just judges you based on how you look." As Midoriya said, "Have you ever dealt with that kind of thing?" As Tokiyami said, "Sometimes people do look at me and a bit, how do I put it into words, off-putted by my appearance. But it's not that apparent, to say the least. Unlike Shoji, me and him talked a while ago. He told me about how he was from the outskirts of the cities, and in a village when he was little, people have treated him horribly. That way he wears a mask." As Midoriya said, "Really?" And Tokiyami said, "Yeah." "What about you, Midoriya?" As Midoriya said, I really haven't done my power. I wasn't born like this. I actually was just a normal looking person before, as then he just remembers that mosquito, that night in the forest. It's all so weird, but then suddenly somebody appeared from behind Midoriya, from his shadow, as he puts his hand on his shoulder saying, "Now there you are, you two, where were you?" As Midoriya looks to see, a kid with white hair and skin darker than black, as he immediately sits beside of them, and Midoriya remembers him. He's the kid from the sport festival. What was his name again? As immediately he sits down saying, "You two know that the rooftops are off limits, right? Students shouldn't be allowed here." As, of course, Tokiyami said, "Are you gonna report us?" But then he immediately sits down, one leg on top of the other, while putting his head on the wall and said, "Hell no, are you kidding me? I spend my days all the time here. Breaking the rules is something I like to do. Makes me feel a little free, As immediately Midoriya looks at him as he said, "Oh, I guess you wanna eat lunch with us?" As he said, "Yep, I thought we were a trio now, remember? The Dark Triad, like your friends called me?" As Midoriya just looks into Tokiyami, and Tokiyami said, "It was a moment thing." As Midoriya looks back at him and said, yeah, I guess, sure. By the way, I really didn't get your name." As he said, "Come on. Isn't that like a little too late for the whole I want to know your name now? Don't you have this weird thing of like, what is the word that I'm looking for? Forget it, who cares? Name is Shihaya Kuroru, or you can just call me Kuro. As Midoriya said, oh, okay, Kuro. As Tokiyami said, Tokiyami Fumikage, and this is Izuku Midoriya. As, of course, Shihaya, or Kuro as he referred to himself, saying, yeah, I know, Ghost Boy and Birdhead. We'll make a perfect team, you know, me, you, and him. As immediately they start talking and, well, he start trying to chat about how his Midoriya's powers works and whatnot and blah blah blah. And then he proceeded to start talking about something different, about hero cards, as he brings out his own little hero cards collection that he always carries with him. After all, it's a very famous game that Midoriya also knows of, he just never really played it. He does collect cards, after all, he has that one rare All Might card. As Tokiyami, also hearing what Kuro is talking about, he as well explains that he sometimes played the game, and Kuro said, no way, we should all totally play together, what do you say? What about you, Midoriya? As Midoriya said, well, I really never played the game. As Kuro said, oh, come on now, it will be fun. How about this? You tomorrow bring out your, all of your deck, and you as well, and we're gonna have a little, match up here at the rooftops. What do you say? As immediately, they all agreed. After which they start, laughing a bit and talking about their favorite heroes, and eventually, Kuro have asked for Midoriya and Tokiyami's number. Though Tokiyami wondering why does he spend time with them? Shouldn't he be spending time with his classmates? And of course Kuro said, maybe, but he honestly is more interested in those two. He likes Midoriya's little creepy horror-like aesthetic, and Tokiyami is interesting as well. And he just seems to fit between them a lot more than his classmates. He doesn't really care about Monoma's whole thing of Class 1B versus Class 1A stuff. He never really cared about it. So he do whatever he wants, really. As well, that's... well, sure, I guess. Tokiyami doesn't really know how to react to that. He just feels there is something off about Kuro. With that all being said, in the end, the bell rings and Midoriya, Tokiyami, and Kuro all leave the rooftops and go to their classes. With that being said, he immediately goes to class, and as he enters the class, somebody speaks to him from behind, wearing sunglasses, being, of course, Kendo from Class 1B as well, as she talks to him saying, did you get it? As he said, do you really need to wear sunglasses, Kendo? We're in class, everybody knows who you are. As she said, did you get it? And he said, yeah, I get it. Did you get what I want? As she immediately just hands him a little paper, and he said, pleasure doing business with you. As he proceeded to just hand her his own piece of paper. Which she looks in it, she basically finds a list of all the things that Midoriya is interested in. And she proceeded to go talk with good old Rico about them. With that all being said, eventually the day of the school is over. With that being said, at nighttime, Midoriya was asleep and he was thinking about what happened with Ida. And it's weird to him. He can't stop thinking about it. At the same time, he doesn't know how to react to it. It's so complicated. But regardless of that, and the next day he goes to school, and lo and behold, it seems that on the news, police have reported the sudden death of the hero killer Stain. And they showing his corpse, though the images are blurred out because it's just so grotesque. His body seems to have been torn apart from the inside out, slashes and cuts all over his body, and it's so disgusting. They barely even recognized who he was if it wasn't for the fact that his face was still intact. And with that all being said, Midori just feeling odd about it. Stain is dead, just out of the blue, and who killed him? There is no sign of anybody who killed him. With that all being said, he goes to school the next day, and well, he meets with the rest of his class. The news of Stain's death have spread like wildfire, and it's all so odd. The class 1A is a little off-putted by it. They don't know how to feel about it. I mean, Stain killed one of their classmates, but they shouldn't be happy about it. Someone's dying. But with that all being said, they can't worry too much about this because Midoriya and his class have finals, and the finals eventually come around. And once they do, Midoriya and the rest of his class are ready to fight some robots, like how they were reported by Class 1B's class president, aka Kendo. And as they all get ready, Principal Nezu reveals to them that, well, unfortunately there won't be fighting robots this year, but instead there will be fighting these teachers. And everybody gets assigned a teacher to fight in groups of 2, and eventually the last duo is set and chosen. Katsuki, Baku, and Izuku Midoriya are together gonna fight All Might, and that, Midoriya is like, no way, you kidding me? All Might? And Baku is just angry on that. With that all being said, quickly after everybody's matches go around and they finish them, Midoriya watches Tokiyami's match, and thankfully he managed to win with the help of Froppy. They managed to capture ectoplasm, which is good news. With that all being said, it's time for Midoriya's and Bakugo's match. As they both step foot into the fake city, Midoriya is watching Bakugo walking forward while telling Midoriya to not follow him, and Midoriya is a little annoyed already. Does he really have to deal with Bakugo? But then he decided they should work together. He gets closer and said, listen, Katsuki, we can't defeat All Might. He's too strong. We can't, as he said, shut up. I'm not too weak as to need help from somebody like you. And don't you dare run away out of the battle. I know what you can do, so don't you dare phase out of this. As Midoriya said, I'm not gonna phase out of this, but at the same time, you can't win a battle against him. We need to find a plan to run away. As he gets closer, saying, Katsuki, are you hearing me? But then Bakugo immediately turns his hand and slams Midoriya in his face, which was surprising. Midoriya's mask falls on the ground, and he just stares at Bakugo as Bakugo looks down at him, saying, don't you dare talk to me and stop calling me by that name, you damn ghost freak. As Midoriya is getting a little angry, saying, can you stop yelling for once in your life? That's why we never have real conversations, because you're always so full of yourself. As Bakugo said, well, I don't need help from you, so stop trying to follow me, you damn creep. As Midoriya said, God, you're so full of yourself. You know what? Go ahead, get yourself killed for all I care. As suddenly, Midoriya just disappears. And Bakugo is seeing him. He's, where did he? Don't you dare run out of this battle, you hear me, Deku? As, while he's about yelling, suddenly, a strong wind pressure immediately hits the entire place that Bakugo is walking through. The street is completely destroyed, and All Might looks at Bakugo saying, well, I see that your partner have left you alone, isn't that right, hero? As Bakugo just looks at All Might. And All Might looks at Bakugo. And then he said, well, if you're alone, that makes my job a lot easier. And so All Might proceeded to body Bakugo to the ground, slamming him, kicking him, hitting him across the streets, and just taunting him across it all, and just talking about how his personality needs some working and blah blah blah. You need to work with your team, and it's much easier to rise when you're at the bottom, and all of that funny stuff. And Bakugo just telling him that he doesn't need help from a useless fucking ghost freak such as Deku. And as he's saying that and saying that he'd rather lose, suddenly he gets thrown out of the way, and All Might sees, well, Bakugo being held in the middle of the air by something invisible. As then Midoriya appears holding Bakugo up with his tentacles, as he said, don't you dare say that again, you hear me? As All Might looks, saying, young Midoriya, where have you been? I've been looking all around for you. As Midoriya just looks at Bakugo, saying, are you there? You still awake? You idiot? As Midoriya looks to see Bakugo's unconscious. As Midoriya is seeing him unconscious, and All Might said, too bad your partner seemed to have lost his consciousness. Maybe I went a little too hard on him. As Midoriya said, no, thank you, because now we can actually work together. And All Might's just tilting his head, saying, how is that supposed to work? He's unconscious. As Midoriya said, Precisely. And then Midoriya flew right into Bakugo's body as his body started twitching, but then immediately in a second notice an explosion happened and the entire place is full of smoke. And when Midoriya stands up, All Might sees Bakugo's eyes. They're normal. But then he blinks and he opens his eyes again and they are pitch black with purple pupils and black lines going down his face as he see Bakugo, closing his fist, clenching them and opening them again, looking into his hands and shaking his wrist as Midoriya said, this feels off. But I like it. Who knew that Bakugo could be a nice bodysuit? As All Might just here says in his mind, you really took over his partner's body? Damn it, Midori, what are you planning? As Midoriya said, if he refused to work together with me, then he might as well just work as this. As he immediately goes through an explosion to All Might, and Midoriya did not realize how strong these explosions, so he got himself flinged backward and, well, he started flying. Though Bakugo still has his explosions, Midoriya starts using his powers and fighting All Might, throwing all explosions again and again and again, creating a distraction. Because the reality of it, Midoriya knows that Bakugo can't win. Even though he hit him with 2 of his gauntlets and those giant explosions, they were merely a distraction. Because as All Might is trying to block the heat and the fire from the attack, immediately when the smoke clears, he sees Midoriya fly out of Bakugo's body and into his body as he tried to punch Midoriya, but his punch goes right through him, and then Midoriya goes into All Might as he falls on his knees. And everybody watching this in the cameras, they said, is he? But as they wonder that, on the inside, Midoriya is standing. An endless, empty space. A place that goes forever, yet at the same time it's so small. And then he sees them, a bunch of ghosts, a bunch of weird looking ghosts that are approaching him, as for some reason the place starts feeling heavy on his chest. He can't breathe, he can't speak, and he can't walk. But then he feels a hand on his shoulder. As he looks over his shoulder, he sees a different ghost, one that doesn't belong with the other ones that he's looking at. As the ghost goes to pluck out his eyes, but in that second he finds himself flung out of All Might's body. As All Might said, what the hell was that? That was weird. As Midoriya said, what the? I couldn't. As Midoriya grabs into his head, it feels a little pain. Damn it, what was that? As he wonders, why couldn't he possess All Might? As All Might said, what's the matter, young Midoriya? I hope that you're not done yet. You would make a much more better villain than a hero, really, with all of that power. As Midoriya finds that a little insulting, but then as he sees All Might start smoking and some blood dripping from his mouth, as seeing that Bakugo's explosion did a bit of damage, but then he also remembers about All Might. He wonders, what's with the smoke and the fog thing? Who knows? Regardless, as All Might is seeming to be a little tired, Midoriya, immediately goes grabbing into Bakugo and then phases through the ground. And All Might looking, where did he go? As then he hears a noise from the cameras and the microphones. A sudden horn. As he hears that, he realizes it. Midoriya took Bakugo and went ahead and ran. As he said, damn it. If it wasn't for these weights. In the end, Midoriya have managed to stand victorious. Bakugo's taken away to the hospital. His bones of his arms are a little damaged after his battle with All Might, not to mention Midoriya's over-excessive use of Bakugo's body as well. That was too much strain on his arms even when his limit was met. With that all being said, Midoriya managed to win, with Bakugo being carried by Midoriya. Once Bakugo was waking up and realized what happened, he was so angry, so damn furious. He tried to go at Midoriya, but Midoriya just didn't give him the time of day. Bakugo tried to grab into his shoulder, but Midoriya just phased and turned invisible and just left. With that being said, and the next day, Class 1A gets their results and Midoriya and Bakugo passed. Only a few of Class 1A students did not pass the final exam. Thankfully, they all did well to go on the summer camp trip, which is good news. As they all proceeded to try and celebrate, immediately Mina suggested that all of them should go to the mall and go shopping together in preparation for the final, for the summer training camp. And so they all agree to go. As Midoriya and Tokiyami go on the rooftops and again they're met with Kuro, they all chat together and Kuro also reveals that although some of his classmates managed to pass, only one being Monoma, he managed to pass as well. As they all talk together and he hears Midoriya talking about the fact that they're going into, well, the mall, he said, "Oh, really? Well, that's good to hear." As he's like, "Oh, you two excuse me, I have to go do something." As Midoriya said, "Where are you going?" As he said, "It's nothing. Just need to get myself some milk from the cafeteria." And so he leaves. And while he going down, immediately, he meets with someone wearing sunglasses inside of the school. As immediately, it's Kendo saying, "Kuro, do we really need to do it like this?" As Kuro said, "You're the one who asked for my help, you'll do it in my own way." As immediately Kendo just sighs and said, "Whatever, what kind of info do you have?" As he said, "I still can't believe that Riko really has something for Midoriya. But I guess she always was one for ghosts. And hey, what kind of classmate would I be if I'm not to help her?" As Kendo said, "Stop your little deceitful behavior. You know that you want something that I have that you can't get if it's not for my help." As immediately Kuro said, "Well, you are the class president for a reason, isn't that right, Kendo?" As he proceeds speaking up saying, "Class 1A will be going on a little, well, shopping trip to the mall," as he tells her the place of the mall and tells her that Midoriya is also gonna be there. And, well, it's probably the best chance she'll ever get, or the best chance Riko will ever get, so make sure that she doesn't screw it up. And immediately, Kendo said, "Great to know." As after that, Kuro just proceeded to leave. And with that all being said, eventually, Class 1A, after another day of just nothing really, they all meet in the mall. All of them standing together and they are ready to shop. But the shopping trip will gonna have to wait because this is all the time we have for today. I hope to see you never, actually. And with that being said, I have nothing more to say than, well, Severed was here. See you next part.